The notification pinged on my phone at 3:47 a.m. Chase Bank. Transaction alert. $97,432. My gold credit card. The one I'd given my parents for emergencies only. My hands shook as I stared at the screen. This had to be a mistake, some kind of fraud. But deep down, that cold knot in my stomach already knew the truth. I'd been working 80-hour weeks for 3 years to build my consulting firm from nothing. Every dollar earned through sacrifice. Every client meeting a battle fought in conference rooms that smelled of desperation and ambition. The gold card was my safety net, the thing that let me sleep at night knowing I could handle any crisis. But this wasn't my crisis. The phone rang before I could even process what I was seeing. Mom's voice, bright and cheerful from what had to be a Hawaiian beach somewhere. "Honey, we're having the most amazing time. Your sister really needed this trip after her breakup." My sister needed this trip. $97,000 worth of need. "Mom." My voice came out steadier than I felt. "I just got a notification from Chase." Silence. Then that familiar defensive tone she used when she knew she'd been caught. "Well, you said we could use it for emergencies." "Emergencies, Mom, not vacations." This was an emergency. Sarah was depressed. She needed to get away. The building around me seemed to hold its breath. Through my apartment window, the city stretched out in the pre-dawn darkness, millions of people sleeping peacefully while my world tilted on its axis. Where exactly did $97,000 go? Oh, the resort was expensive, and we upgraded to first class, and Sarah wanted to go shopping. She's been through so much. She's been through so much. The phrase that had justified every family decision for the past 15 years. Sarah's feelings always came first. Sarah's needs always took priority. Sarah's happiness was the family mission, and I was just the one expected to fund it. I hung up and called Chase immediately. The customer service representative, probably dealing with his own 4 a.m. crisis, confirmed what I already knew. Multiple charges over the past week. Resort stays, shopping sprees, restaurants, experiences. All legitimate transactions with my card. "Sir, you can dispute these if they were unauthorized." But they weren't unauthorized. Not technically. I'd given my parents the card. What I hadn't given them was permission to treat my life savings like a casino jackpot. The sun rose as I sat in my office chair, staring at the itemized charges. The Grand Wailea Resort. Luxury shopping at the International Marketplace. A private yacht charter for $800 an hour. Helicopter tours. 5-star dinners every single night. My phone buzzed with Instagram notifications. Sarah had tagged me in her posts. The first photo showed her lounging by an infinity pool, designer sunglasses reflecting the Hawaiian sunset. The caption read, "Sometimes you need to treat yourself. Blessed to have family that understands priorities." Treat yourself. With my money, my priorities apparently included funding her emotional recovery through luxury tourism. I scrolled through the rest. Photos of her in boutiques, arms loaded with shopping bags from Gucci and Louis Vuitton. Videos of her at expensive restaurants, champagne glasses raised in toast to her fresh start. Pictures of her and my parents on that yacht. The ocean stretching endlessly behind them while my bank account stretched toward empty. But it was the last post that made my blood freeze in my veins. A photo of her with some guy. Tan, muscular, clearly not heartbroken over any recent breakup. His arm around her waist possessively, both of them grinning like they'd won the lottery. The caption, 2 weeks in paradise with my love. Best surprise ever when he flew out to join me. The timestamp showed it was posted 6 days ago, 6 days into their supposedly emergency depression vacation. I called my mom back. "Who's the guy in Sarah's Instagram posts?" Another pause, longer this time. "What guy?" "The guy she's been with for the past week. The one who surprised her in Hawaii, the one she's calling her love." "Oh, that's just, she met someone there. Isn't that wonderful? She's healing." "Mom, she's been with him the entire time. This whole heartbroken story was a lie." "Don't be dramatic. She was heartbroken, and then she met someone new. That's how life works." "How life works?" According to my mother, life worked by lying to your son, stealing his money, and then gaslighting him when he figured it out. "I want you all home, now, today. We can't just leave. We have 3 more days paid for." 3 more days paid for with my money. It's family money. Family money. The phrase that had haunted me since I started earning anything worth taking. Somehow, every dollar I made became family money the moment my parents needed it. But every family decision happened without me. I drove to Sarah's apartment while they were still in paradise. The spare key was exactly where it had always been, hidden under the decorative rock by her front door. 3 minutes inside told me everything I needed to know. Her bedroom showed no signs of recent heartbreak, no tissues by the bed, no sad movies left in the DVD player, no empty ice cream containers. Instead, her vanity was covered with recent receipts from expensive salons and spas, preparations for Hawaii. Her laptop was still open on the kitchen counter. Her email account was logged in, and the truth was right there in her sent folder. Messages to the mysterious boyfriend dating back months. Plans for the Hawaii trip that started 8 weeks ago. Messages about how she'd figured out how to get the family to pay for everything. The building held its breath around me as I read through their correspondence. This wasn't some spontaneous healing vacation. This was a carefully planned scam, orchestrated by my sister and enabled by my parents. The heartbreak story was fiction. The depression was performance art. The emergency was manufactured specifically to justify the theft. Because that's what this was, theft. I took pictures of everything, screenshots of the emails, photos of the receipts, documentation that would matter if this ever went legal, because it was about to go legal. My phone rang. Sarah, calling from paradise. Why were you at my apartment? Just checking on my heartbroken sister. You had no right to go through my things. I had every right. You stole $97,000 from me. I didn't steal anything. Mom and Dad used your card. With money, you swindled from them through lies. Silence. Then that trademark Sarah attitude, the one that had gotten her out of trouble her entire life. You make plenty of money. It's not like you'll miss it. I'll miss it. The casual dismissal of 3 years of my life. The assumption that my sacrifice meant nothing because the numbers in my account looked big enough to her. The complete inability to understand that money represents time, effort, dreams deferred, and future security. Sarah, you're going to pay me back. Every penny. With what money? Not my problem. Figure it out. She hung up. I drove back to my apartment and made 3 calls. The first was to my lawyer. The emails and evidence were more than enough for a civil case. Fraud, theft by deception, conspiracy. My family had committed multiple felonies, and I had the receipts to prove it. The second was to Chase Bank. I reported the card stolen and requested all charges from the Hawaii trip be classified as fraudulent. The representative was sympathetic when I explained the situation. Apparently, family financial abuse was more common than I'd imagined. The third call was to my parents. I'm suing all of you. Mom's voice went sharp and defensive. You can't sue family. Watch me. This will destroy the family. You already destroyed the family when you decided I was a bank instead of a son. I spent the next week building my case. The evidence was overwhelming. The premeditation was clear. The fraud was documented. My lawyer was practically salivating over how easy this would be to prove. But the real weapon wasn't legal action. It was financial. Sarah worked at a boutique marketing company, the kind of place that valued image and reputation above all else. Her boss, Jennifer, was someone I'd met at networking events. Professional, sharp, unforgiving when it came to character issues. I scheduled a lunch meeting. I need to discuss a sensitive situation involving one of your employees. Jennifer listened as I laid out the evidence, the planned deception, the stolen money, the fake emergency, the social media posts celebrating the theft. Her expression grew colder with each detail. This speaks to fundamental character issues, she said finally. Someone who would defraud family members can't be trusted with client relationships or company resources. Sarah was fired the next day. My parents flew home early, 3 days of paid paradise abandoned. They arrived at LAX to find legal papers waiting for them. Summons for civil court, documentation of fraud charges. A demand letter for immediate repayment of all stolen funds, plus legal fees and damages. Mom called me from the airport, her voice shaking with rage and something that might have been fear. How could you do this to us? I didn't do anything to you. You did this to yourselves. We raised you. We gave you everything. You gave me manipulation, financial abuse, and the lesson that family means nothing when money's on the table. You can't just destroy people's lives over money. But that's exactly what they'd done to me. They looked at my life's work, my sacrifice, my future security, and decided it meant less than Sarah's vacation plans. The lawsuit moved forward with surgical precision. My lawyer had handled family fraud cases before, and this one was cleaner than most. The evidence was irrefutable. The damages were clear. The defendants had no realistic defense. Sarah tried to contact me through mutual friends, apologies mixed with justifications, promises to pay me back slowly over time, sob stories about how losing her job had ruined her life. The same manipulation tactics that had worked for 15 years. But something had changed in me during those days of discovery. The building around me no longer held its breath when my phone rang. The cold knot in my stomach had transformed into something harder, sharper. Armor forged from betrayal and tempered with determination. My parents' lawyer reached out about a settlement. They couldn't afford to pay back the full amount immediately, but they offered a payment plan with interest. 40% now, the rest over 5 years. It was probably the best I could realistically expect from people who just proven they couldn't be trusted with money. But I wasn't feeling realistic anymore. Full payment within 60 days or we go to trial. That's impossible. They don't have that kind of liquid capital. Then they shouldn't have stolen that kind of liquid capital. The trial was set for 3 months out. In the meantime, Chase had reversed all the charges on my card. The bank's fraud investigation had concluded that the transactions were unauthorized regardless of who physically used the card. Family members lying to obtain access to credit accounts was still fraud under federal law. Sarah's social media presence told its own story of consequences. The luxury vacation posts were gone, replaced by vague updates about difficult times and learning experiences. The boyfriend from Hawaii had vanished from her feed. Apparently, paradise was less appealing when it wasn't being funded by theft. My parents hired a new lawyer, someone who specialized in bankruptcy and asset protection. They were exploring options to shield their assets from civil judgment. The house they lived in for 20 years might need to be sold. Dad's retirement portfolio was being restructured. Mom's jewelry collection was being quietly moved into trusts. Watching them scramble to protect their wealth from the consequences of stealing mine felt like poetic justice. They taught me that family obligations only flowed one direction, toward them. Now they were learning that legal obligations flowed the other direction entirely. The breaking point came 2 weeks before trial. I was leaving my office late, reviewing case documents under the cold fluorescent lights of the elevator bank, when my phone rang. Dad's number. I almost didn't answer, but something in the timing felt significant. "Son, we need to talk." His voice was different, smaller. The authority that had dominated every family interaction for 30 years was gone, replaced by something that sounded like defeat. "There's nothing to talk about. See you in court. Please, just give me 5 minutes." Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet him at a diner near my apartment, the same place we'd gone for breakfast when I was 12, full of dreams about the business I'd build someday. The irony wasn't lost on either of us. He looked older than I'd ever seen him. The stress of legal proceedings had carved new lines around his eyes. His hand shook slightly as he stirred sugar into his coffee. "I know what we did was wrong." "Do you?" "Because 3 weeks ago it was family money and I was being dramatic. I was trying to protect your mother and Sarah. This whole thing has been harder on them than you realize." "It's been hard on them? They stole nearly $100,000 from me and I'm supposed to feel sorry for them because facing consequences is stressful?" He flinched like I'd slapped him. "Good. Maybe consequences should be stressful. Sarah lost her job. Your mother hasn't slept in weeks. The house might have to be sold. This is tearing the family apart." "The family was torn apart the moment you decided I existed to fund everyone else's happiness. You don't understand. Sarah really was hurting after her breakup." "Dad, stop. I know about the emails. I know this was planned months in advance. I know the boyfriend flew out to meet her. I know the heartbreak was fake and the emergency was a lie. The only thing I don't know is whether you were in on it from the beginning or if she manipulated you too." The silence stretched between us like a chasm. Outside the diner window, traffic moved past in the rhythm of normal life. People going home to families that didn't treat each other like ATM machines. People whose parents didn't view their success as a family resource to be exploited. "We'll pay you back. Every penny. Just drop the criminal charges." "I haven't filed criminal charges yet." "The civil suit then. We'll settle. Whatever terms you want. I want my money back and I want guarantees this will never happen again." What kind of guarantees? Legal ones, binding ones, the kind that put you in prison if you violate them. He left without ordering food. I sat in that booth for another hour, remembering the 12-year-old version of myself who trusted his father completely. Who'd believe that family meant protection, support, unconditional love? Who'd never imagined that success would turn the people he loved into predators? The civil trial became unnecessary. 3 days after our diner conversation, my parents' lawyer called with a settlement offer that met all my demands. Full repayment within 30 days. Signed agreements prohibiting future access to my financial accounts. Legal acknowledgement of fraud, plus $20,000 in punitive damages and all my legal fees. Sarah was a separate case. She had no assets to seize and no income to garnish since losing her job. But the judgment would follow her for years, accruing interest and surfacing on background checks. A permanent reminder that fraud has lasting consequences. The money was wired to my account on a Tuesday morning. $97,432 plus damages plus fees. More money than I'd started with, but somehow it felt like I'd lost something valuable in the transaction. I never got an apology. Not a real one. Just variations on the theme that I was overreacting, that family should forgive, that money wasn't worth destroying relationships over. The inability to understand that they destroyed the relationship by treating me like a resource instead of a relative. My phone still gets occasional texts from Sarah, updates about her life, requests for small loans, invitations to family gatherings I'll never attend. Each message gets deleted without response. She made her choice in Hawaii when she decided to celebrate stealing from me on Instagram. I made mine in that courtroom when I decided that blood relation doesn't excuse betrayal. The gold credit card was canceled permanently. My new financial security system doesn't include emergency access for anyone else. Trust, once broken this completely, doesn't regenerate. It leaves scars that ache when the weather changes, reminders that the people who should protect you sometimes hunt you instead. My consulting firm grew stronger through the crisis, maybe because I'd learned to spot manipulation and self-interest more quickly. Maybe because surviving family financial abuse prepared me for the smaller betrayals of business relationships. Or maybe because building armor around your heart makes you better at protecting your professional interests. The Instagram posts from that Hawaii trip are still online. Sarah never deleted them. Hundreds of photos documenting the most expensive vacation of her life, funded by the brother she was willing to destroy for a few weeks in paradise. Sometimes I look at them late at night, studying the faces of people who could plan months of deception without apparent guilt. In one of the photos, taken on their last day, my parents and Sarah are raising champagne glasses in a toast. The caption reads, "To family adventures and memories that last a lifetime." Family adventures, memories that last a lifetime. She got part of it right. This memory will last my lifetime, and hers, and probably theirs. The memory of what happens when love becomes transactional and family becomes predatory. The legal papers are filed in my office safe now. Proof that justice exists even inside family relationships. Evidence that paper trails are more powerful than emotional manipulation. Documentation that sometimes the only way to stop being a victim is to become something harder, something that fights back. My phone buzzes occasionally with texts from numbers I don't recognize. Friends of Sarah's, distant relatives, sometimes even mom calling from different phones. Always the same message in different words. Family should forgive, money isn't everything, holding grudges hurts everyone. But they're wrong about grudges. This isn't a grudge. This is a boundary. The difference between remembering pain and preventing future pain. The distinction between harboring resentment and maintaining standards. The building around me no longer holds its breath when my phone rings. The cold knot in my stomach became something stronger, something that doesn't dissolve under pressure. I learned that love without respect is just exploitation wearing a prettier mask. Sarah still works in marketing at a smaller company for less money. My parents still live in their house, though they had to restructure their retirement to pay me back. The Hawaii photographs still get likes from friends who don't know the real story. Life moved on, but with different rules now. Sometimes I wonder if they tell people I'm the villain in this story. The ungrateful son who sued his own family over money. The brother who destroyed relationships over a vacation. The child who chose dollars over blood. Let them tell that version. Let them paint me as the monster who demanded consequences for fraud. Let them build their narrative around my unreasonable expectations that family members shouldn't steal from each other. I know what really happened that week in Hawaii. I know what I found on her Instagram. I know which one of us betrayed the family trust. And I know that sometimes the only way to save yourself is to stop trying to save everyone else. The gun was pointed at them all along. I just finally moved out of the way.